Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Patriots Touchback Podcast, Season 3, Episode 37. Christ, we're doing it. We've gone a long way into this season, haven't we? We're here to review the Patriots getting their 9th win of the season. Beat the Cincinnati Bengals 26-20, but at what cost? I got Kieran on standby with me for this preview show. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, tell all your friends, follow us on social media platforms. Make sure you follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple as well. And let's crack on with it. Kieran, hope you're all well, mate. How was your weekend?
All good. Just want to correct you slightly. 9th win in a row, 10th win of the season.
Sorry,
First team to reach 10 wins this season. So, you know, give them their flowers. But yeah, no, weekend was absolutely fine. Thank you, mate. Not too bad. How was yours?
Yeah, it was okay. I think me and my boy were ill together over the weekend, so we haven't been up to much. But no, we're all good in that, and he's having a bit better time, much better time at school this week. So all good in that. And also to add a little bit of cheer, I'd say Christmas cheer. It's not quite. We're a month away from Christmas. If you notice, Thanksgiving cheer, I'd say. You see, I've got some lights across my flag behind me. Grinch lights. I found them in the range. I think they only cost like £6, but I was like, oh, that would do for my background or something. So add a little bit of festive cheer into the mix. What we can't say about festive cheer, however, was that this game in particular, now, Kieran had us scoring 30 points. I had us scoring 40. I literally sent the Wolves to Nick and DJ's door. How dare they make the Bengals cover the spread, this, that, and the other. And, 26-20 it ended. A win's a win at the end of the day. That's what we all care about as a fan. We care about wins and we care about losses. But you also have to be critical of the performance that they put in. And if this is the first time since week 3 against the Steelers where I actually feel very, very deflated, very unimpressed, very annoyed. We're going to first start off with the doom and gloom, okay? Because the doom and gloom is this. I think we can safely say, Kieran, that we have been very, very lucky when it comes to not getting injuries to our key players. Obviously, we lost our running back a while back, out for the season. And then in this game, when it rains, it pours. First of all, Jared Wilson goes down. Gets carted off. And then our rookie left tackle, Will Campbell, big country, goes down. He gets carted off into the locker room thinking, oh shit, this is the be-all and end-all. It's a torn ACL, this, that, and the other. We can first finally bring some news to it that, according to a load of reporters, Jared Wilson has got a high ankle sprain, so it's the same sort of injury as what Milton Williams has got. So he's out 4 to 6 weeks. So potentially he's out for now for the rest of the regular season, ready for the postseason. Will Campbell, on the other hand, he has got a mild MCL sprain. Now, that could be anything from 2 to 4 weeks as far as I'm guessing. So he's definitely going to be available for the Giants game. We still have had no indication on if either or both of them are going to go over to IR, which means they will miss a minimum of 4 games anyway. I have a suspicious feeling that Jared Wilson will probably be the one going on IR. When those injuries first happened, what was the first thought that was going through your head? And also, Morgan Moses went down as well, but he didn't go down due to injury. He went down because he had an illness and he was suffering from an illness all day. And he kept coming in and out in a time, and Bryant was taking over him at right tackle in some proportions. But what was your reaction to what was going on?
I think just, gutted at first because there is always a human aspect to injuries, which I think a lot of people often forget about. And for Will Campbell and Jared Wilson in their rookie years, experiencing an excellent season, the best season their team's had for a long time. They've been important parts of that. Campbell probably more so, more pivotal to the success. To see them go down and you start to think the worst, particularly when the cart comes out. I think Jared Wilson wasn't actually carted off, but did go to the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your mind, when you hear knee injury, the first thought is ACL, done for the year. And at this time of year, it puts next season in doubt as well in terms of the start of next season. So, yeah, naturally very disappointed. You start thinking about, like, okay, what comes next? And it feels like we've very much got away with this one. And, you summed it up well, Carl. We haven't had a lot of significant injuries. Gibson we had at the start of the season. Milton Williams on IR, but he's coming back. These two guys sound like they're going to be back for the postseason. So we've massively got away with one here, because I almost think that in the next few weeks, we have a lot of credit in the bank in terms of we can afford to drop a couple of games and it shouldn't matter too much. The Bills losing to Houston on Thursday night made that cushion even bigger. So as much as it might be a little bit painful for Drake in the next few weeks, you're going to see a lot more pressure off that side than he has been getting. It shouldn't derail the season going into the postseason. Ultimately, we're pretty certain we're going to be a playoff team. So to have Wilson, to have Campbell, to have Milton Williams back for the games that matter in them one-game shootouts is massively important, a huge boost. And like I said, we got away with one, and that was hugely positive news that it wasn't as bad as first feared. Although unconfirmed so far in terms of Will Campbell, in terms of the MRI, obviously you hope that there's nothing hidden that could be worse. But certainly from face value, it seems like, it's not as bad as we first thought. So, yeah, hugely positive with that.
Yeah. Hopefully Will Campbell's only going to be out for a few games. I think we can safely say if he's going to be on IR, he's going to end up missing I personally would think like this for Will Campbell and for Jared Wilson. I don't think we'll see them now until the postseason. I
think you're right, because if they go on IR, it's 4 games minimum, right? For injured reserve. We've only got 5 games left for this regular season. And if they're ready to go for the final 2 games, we might not even need them to play, because we've got Jets, Dolphins, final 2 games. We could have the division wrapped up. We could have the 1 seed wrapped up. You genuinely don't know, So if you're in a position where you don't really need to rush them back, then you don't. You say, look, you could probably come back this week if we absolutely have to play you. But no, give yourself another week. Come back for the first playoff game. So I think you're right. I think they'll be smart about it and not rush them back for a potentially meaningless game in week 18 against the Jets or Dolphins, whoever's last. Dolphins is last, isn't it?
Well, that week 18 might not be meaningless, because if we are in for the number 1 seed, then obviously we have to play the Dolphins at home, and the Broncos, if I'm not mistaken, they are at home to the Chargers.
Yeah, but it could be meaningless. It could be not. You just don't know where the land's going to lie in terms of the AFC in a few weeks' time. But I certainly think if we're in a position where we don't have to rush anyone back because we've got a cushion and it could be a meaningless game in week 18, then you don't bring them back for that and you bring them back for the playoffs.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's for a bye and then in the divisional round. That would be the best case scenario.
I mean, getting the bye as the 1 seed would be huge in terms of not only player freshness for those players that are still healthy and still playing, but also for getting players back from injuries as well. If we can go into that divisional round game at full strength, then we're in an excellent position.
We should be in an excellent position, but now our left side is completely changed over now. So Ben Brown stepping out of left guard. Excuse me. I don't have an issue with that. Ben Brown is a serviceable left guard. He can do a job there. He's actually a better left guard than he is at center. Sorry, beg your pardon. So that's not the be all and end all. The problem is this. He's back. The bloody potato strainer is back at left tackle. Yes, we're referring to Vidarian Lowe. The first thing that came to my mind, right? Oh, don't mess up at all. And actually, watching that game, he gave up no sacks, he gave up no pressures, he was fine. He didn't do great. He did a solid job coming in at left tackle. But let's be real, the Bengals don't have any pass rushers, so it's not exactly. He's going to be tested next Monday against the Giants with the likes of Brian Burns and Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence coming at him. But you get what I mean. But something crept in my head, right? We've had Vidarian Lowe for a number of years, and we've all said on a podcast unanimously since this podcast inception, he is a shit left tackle.
Yeah,
we've said that in unison, right? So we tried him under Belichick and under Matt Patricia. Shit, didn't work. We've tried him under Gerard Mayer and Alex Van Pelt. That didn't work. Now he's working under Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, and Doug Marrone. Could we? I know it's polishing a turd, but can we actually see Vidarian Lowe maybe perform a little bit better? He wasn't the main reason why we sucked last year, because we were just all over the place. But he wasn't exactly great, was he? There were games where he performed good, and then there were games where he was a mannequin at left tackle.
Yeah, I think that's the hope you have to cling on to, that the fact that the coaching this year should be a significant upgrade from what he was getting last year. So you remember last season, offensive line coach Scott Peters was his first job as the lead offensive line guy, had some kind of background in martial arts, and the line was a disaster, and he ended up leaving. So Doug Marrone, an offensive line guru, who I think has been coaching offensive line longer than Scott Peters has been an adult, comes in, and you hope that Lowe has had time out of the firing line now with better coaching in a better offensive scheme where he might not look as bad as he did previously. Now, that is the hope. There is also the flip side, which he could just genuinely be a bad player that's not up to NFL caliber, which is very, very plausible. So I think it was interesting that Mike Vrabel kind of downplayed the left tackle situation and said about him and Bryant, like they haven't decided who's going to play. And I think that was quite stark, because I feel like if Lowe was the next man up, he just would have outright come out and said, yep, Vidarian Lowe, next man up. It's his opportunity. He's going to have to fill that role now. So I genuinely don't think that they have made a decision over who's going to play there. Now, obviously, Marcus Bryant was a 7th round pick from Mizzou and played exclusively left tackle in college. Was the reason that Mizzou didn't move Armand Membu to left tackle, because they already had a left tackle and Bryant was good for them. So I think this is the decision. Do you hope that Lowe has improved in the last year and has more NFL experience, or do you go for the young player to see what you have at that position, someone who is a natural left tackle, despite the fact that whenever he's come into games, particularly in the regular season, has been coming in as a swing tackle on the right side, but did take a lot of snaps at left tackle in preseason over Vidarian Lowe. So I would almost like to see what Bryant can do, because if he proves that he can hold up, he could be a very good swing tackle for you in the future. Mm-hmm. I still have huge reservations about Vidarian Lowe, but you never know. If he plays, I just hope the coaching has helped him and he's developed a little bit, because he was a huge problem last year. I don't know whether we'll see both of them at some point. If Campbell's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, do we see both of them play because one's just not up to it and the other one's had to step in? So it's a huge decision for them to make, especially with this game coming up now, because the Giants' pass rush is really good.
That's the only thing they've got, the Giants. They've got a very good pass rush, but they've got no secondary. So, yeah. So that game will all be about protect Drake Maye. And we're not going to go into too much detail because we'll do the preview on that on Saturday night when we get round to it, okay? But listen, it's going to be one of those two that's going to step in. They're going to have a big job on their hands. You know, they've got the Giants. They've got the Giants next Monday. Then we have the bye week, which we'll have a little bit of practice to get used to them. Then we got a double gauntlet in the Bills at home, which could potentially be for the AFC East decider, and then we're on the road to Baltimore. And then we have to go. Then we're on the road to the Jets at home, and the Dolphins to clear out the rest of this regular season. So we've still got a lot to do, a lot to work on.
I think what will be interesting, Carl, is obviously players normally have Tuesdays off. Monday's a recovery day. So tomorrow is the first day of practice.
Mm-hmm.
Who lines up and takes the first team reps at left tackle first? Is it Bryant or is it Lowe?
I'm going to say Vidarian Lowe.
I would say it's probably more likely at this stage, but that could be interesting to see whether they split at left tackle and they genuinely have a competition for who's going to replace Campbell. I think that Ben Brown, like you said, he's done okay. Like he is the obvious option, really, isn't he? Left guard to step in. He's already played one game when Wilson was out earlier this season, and he stepped in and held up okay. So I don't really have that many concerns about Ben Brown. It's just the left tackle situation, and this is the wrong game coming up to have a left tackle issue. If we can navigate that against the Giants, go 11-2 into the bye, like I said to you last week, if we lose to the Ravens and the Bills, I still don't think that we get caught for the division. So you can almost, throw those away. But yeah, we'll have to see. We'll see what the left tackle situation does, but at least that guard situation is sorted. I kind of wonder what the practice squad movement will be as well, like with the interior lineman. Like Caden Wallace has been
He'll get elevated
every game. He's obviously going to be like active. I imagine one of the linemen from the practice squad is probably going to come up. I don't know who though. I think you got like Gutierrez.
Well, remember, Joshua Farmer was unavailable. He was inactive.
Yeah,
so potentially he might be coming up, and that's something we will move on to. Would be our next part. But yeah, we've got a lot of inactives. Got a comment here from Pats fan B6. Big up, man. Big love, mates from Central Mass. Season ticket holder for 27 years.
Nice. Welcome in.
Welcome to the touchback, mate. Much appreciated.
Really appreciate you tuning in all the way from Massachusetts as well. It's great to connect with other Pats fans. Obviously, with us being based in the UK, flying the flag for the UK Patriots fans and linking up with you guys that are local to the team. That's really important. So yeah, big shout out to you. Thanks for tuning in. I'm very jealous that you've had a season ticket for 27 years. And to be honest, I'm very glad that you're watching some good football because you must have watched some absolute shit for the last few years in person. So yeah.
Dante's in the building. Big up, mate. We just signed Brandon Cooks. Must be a decent chef. Wow, this is desperation. That is desperation.
Brandon Cooks for the Bills. I like Brandon Cooks with us.
Yeah, I like Brandon Cooks with us. He had us.
I don't know why we traded him away after 1 year. Like
Belichick's a half ass. So there we go. That's all I said. Bleed red and blue. Absolutely. It's actually red, navy, and silver to be pedantic, but round two with Cooks. Yeah. That'll be an interesting one, but that'll be Gonzo locking them up. That'll be Gonzo sticking them independent.
He's been traded like more than any other player in the league, and he's played for so many different teams. And like early in his career, he's such a good player. Like, and do
you want to know why? Because the delusional Pats fans is saying, why do teams keep cutting Cooks? Concussion history. That's why.
To be fair, on my one and only visit to Gillette Stadium in 2017, the time I came over to watch the game, Brandon Cooks did score a touchdown in that game against the Dolphins. So I have seen him score in person. Bum. Was good back in the day. Not sure he's as good now as he once was, but
okay. Let's we're going to transition now and move into something a little bit more concerning, shall we say? When Milton Williams went out, we were going to find out how bad our run defense is going to be. Chase Brown for the running back for Cincinnati. 19 carries, 107 yards. The streak officially died after week 12.
Yeah, I mean, Undertaker's streak came to an end, so I guess everyone's does. Yeah, I think it was only going to be a matter of time before that was broken, especially with Milton Williams going out, Joshua Farmer inactive for the game as well with an injury. So you're down you're down a starter and you're down a rotational player. So you like Barmore, Tonga.
Tonga went out injured as well with chest.
Yeah,
we don't know if he's going to be. We don't know if he's going to be any good for the Giants game. We need him because otherwise we're in big trouble.
Down to Barmore, Durden, who's done a nice job, but then you've got Farms coming up from the practice squad, Eric Gregory. So like the depth was really tested, and it did feel as if we tried to sell out to stop the passing game because we know that Joe Flacco, even without Jamar Chase, can sling the ball down the field. I mean, he was doing that, particularly in the fourth quarter, with finding players like Tinsley and Gesicki and Yosef.
I knew Gesicki was going to have a game. I knew Gesicki wanted revenge. Gesicki wanted revenge on us. Every time he plays against us, whether he was a Dolphin or a Bengal, he just fucking lit it up for us.
So I just think a lot of that was game script. But yeah, I mean, Chase Brown's a good back. He hasn't had a very good season, but that's because Cincinnati have been down by a lot of points all year and they've not run the ball, and they've got a bad line. But yeah, the streak was going to come to an end at some point. We did remarkably well to get that far into the season. We've only given up 50, 60 yards to a running back. And we're still, in terms of our run defense stats, one of the highest teams in the league. So, I don't think it's a massive cause of concern. I think it's going to be something we're going to have to probably stomach until Milton Williams gets back in particular.
The problem is that the next third of running backs will come. Okay, I'm not bothered by the Giants running backs always. It's Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy shit, by the way. So I'm not going to be bothered about that. But the next three running backs to contend with would be James Cook, Derrick Henry, Breece Hall. Well, by then, Milton Williams will be back for the Jets game anyway. So it's James Cook and Derrick Henry. And you know what Derrick Henry is like in December. He's hard to stop.
It's an uptick for sure with players like Henry and Cook. One thing I will say is I've watched Derrick Henry this weekend, just gone. Watched him all season. The guy looks like he's lost a step. He looks slow. He looks like he's running in treacle, like Ramondre Stevenson this past weekend. That basically couldn't get anything on like third and short. Like Henry scored 2 touchdowns against the Jets, but like was really getting very few yards. So as much as he's a big, powerful, hard to bring down back, I don't think he's got the same juice that he once had. James Cook's a little bit different because the guy is electric and can rip off a big run, and the same with Breece Hall to a certain extent. But Henry, I think if you stack the box, you can stop him nowadays. I don't know. I just don't think he looks dynamic and fast anymore. I think it was an interesting comment we had a second ago where it said, "Make Winston beat you in the air."
It won't be Jameis Winston that'll be playing. It'll be Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I mean, if Winston's playing, that's not what you want though, because although our secondary's been holding up recently pretty well,
he can lit it up.
Jameis Winston is best when he's throwing the ball down the field. Like you want to try and get them to try and run so you can stop them. Yes, there's the inevitable Jameis turnovers that come in every game, but like you saw him at the weekend against the Giants, he was absolutely slinging. He had a receiving touchdown. Like you do not want to end up in a slinging match with Jameis Winston because he can do that. So that I would try and avoid that happening at all costs, despite the fact you might get a couple of turnovers off it.
Yeah, Landry got something for Dart. Hopefully, yeah, it's the case. But no, so unable to stop the run. We still got three more games to go before we get Milton Williams back. So that's going to be massive. On our running game, however, right, Trayvon Henderson, 18 carries for 66 yards, 3.7 yards per carry. Poor, very poor. Drake Maye, 5 carries for 22 yards. Demario Douglas, this was on a jet sweep, 1 carry, 14 yards. That ended up being the first down. And then there is Ramondre Stevenson. Return back from injury. averaged 0.8 yards per carry. I am sorry. I'm sorry. And we know we keep saying that Trayvon Henderson is not a free down back. We've been saying it for weeks. He's not a free down back. He's the sort of guy you want to do crackback tosses on the outside because he's got the juice to get to get round the edge. But I would rather use Trayvon Henderson than free down efficiency for Ramondre Stevenson. What the hell does he? And bearing this in mind as well, this is what pissed me off. That is historically the worst rush and the worst passing defense in NFL history. And you're telling me we could only run for 107 yards on that defense. The offensive line didn't do their job either.
No, it didn't. The line was obviously a bit of a problem in that game for I think it's been a problem all season with run blocking, to be honest. Henderson, not that bad. The stat line's not that bad. Still 66 yards on the ground. Yes, he had more carries. I thought it was really interesting that although Stevenson came back, Travion still had the bulk, which is what we were expecting and wanting to happen, that he didn't want Stevenson coming back and taking 10, 15 carries away from Henderson. So I'm pleased that aspect happened. I thought Stevenson looked really sluggish, really slow, didn't break any tackles, just looked completely ineffective in the whole game. We had 2 turnovers on downs in the red zone from Stevenson not being able to get a yard.
6 plays from the 1 yard line.
Yeah,
you only get 4 downs. We had 6 of them, and it was all because
Travion's shown that despite being a smaller back, he can punch it in on the goal line. Like he can score in the red zone. So I don't know why they were intent on running Stevenson in the red zone for him just to get bottled up every time. Like, the guy doesn't have any juice. And you might as well have just tried to get Travion on a crack toss from the 2 yard line to see if he can make the linebacker miss and then hit into the end zone. I think that really cost us. Carl, we spoke about the top of the podcast about we weren't expecting the Bengals to cover the spread. Obviously, DJ and Nick said they would. We left 14 points on the board from the 1 yard line. 14 points. This should have been we should have scored 40. You predicted us to get 40 points. And if we score from those plays on the 1 yard line, we put 14 points on the board and we win 40-20. So we left points out there from being ineffective. And like this comment says here, as a reminder, you make too much money for under a 1 yard per carry. Yeah, 100%. And also, if you're a bigger back like Ramondre Stevenson, your bread and butter should be short yardage situations in the red zone. If you're a big back, you should be smashing it in consistently. Look what David Montgomery does for the Lions. Specialist in the red zone in terms of bigger back in short yardage situations. That should be your bread and butter, but it's not. And you may as well just run Travion in them situations. We might have scored both times with Travion on the field in them, but they were intent on as our friend from America just says, keep running up the gut with a slow running back. It's not good enough.
Or how about you don't take the ball out of our best player's hands? And I know people are going to be like, oh, don't go. I know because of Drake Maye and he might fumble the ball and he might get injured and so on. At some point, Josh McDaniels have to grow a set of balls and actually say, right, okay, we've tried to run it in twice with running backs. Now we're going to QB draw it. We're going to design a play, QB draw it, and then we're going to let Drake Maye run this in.
Or
same what Josh Allen does, same what Lamar Jackson does, same what Patrick Mahomes does. Come on.
Yeah, or you get like we had earlier in the season, can't remember what game it was, might have been Carolina, where we get Drake on a bootleg. Get him on a bootleg, on the run, someone gets open, wide open touchdown. I just thought that was strange. And we left too many points on the board from trying to be that running up the middle with a big back. And I understand the reason for doing that, but if Ramondre is ineffective doing it and you don't call it, and as much as Henderson is still seeing the bulk of the carries with Ramondre back, I don't want to Stevenson just needs to spell him. That's literally it now. You bring Stevenson in, in certain situations to give Travion a breather, but Henderson still needs to be the lead back. He should really be playing 3 downs for you unless he needs a breather or takes a heavy hit or whatever. Like, I believe he can be a 3-down back. We certainly shouldn't be taking him out in the red zone situations, because in the previous weeks where we haven't had another running back, he's been getting the red zone carries and he scored 5 touchdowns in 2 games. So, like, why are we then taking him out when he's got us down there and to give it to Stevenson, who's just running in tar the whole time, only to get stuffed at the goal line and we end up leaving points on the board, on the field? It's just, no, that's got to change.
If you remember, they tried the tush push fail with Drake. There's only one team.
We're not very good at that.
There's only one team that can do the tush push, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. Why are we going to reciprocate something that is going to get freaking banned for next season anyway? How about $30 million a year for Carl Davis? I mean, to be honest with you, he actually earned his money. that final drive, 3 pass breakups, and I know what you're going to say. You know, he does let off a lot of yardage. His coverage ain't that particularly great. That final drive that the Bengals had, Carlton Davis finally
he was
rose up to the contract that he got signed to.
I feel like the Carlton Davis bashing has been really overblown. And it might be a controversial opinion, but I think people are
I'll like this podcast, listen, come on.
I understand that we're paying him a lot of money, right? But he's given up a few yards, he's given up a few touchdowns and receptions or whatever, but he has come up important at big moments, like in this game at the end, 3 pass breakups on the final drive. And you've got to remember as well, teams are reluctant to throw at Gonzo. Like, okay, they did it once in this game and Tinsley scored on him, which was not great from Gonzo's perspective.
Flacco threw on him 3 times. It was 3 for 3.
Yeah.
He gave up 33 yards and he gave up a touchdown, I believe.
But overall, teams, we've said this season on this podcast, we're not hearing much out of Gonzo because teams just aren't throwing his way. That they're concerned about that side of the field being taken away. So then what naturally happens as a result of that? The number 2 corner gets picked on, or the nickel gets picked on. So I feel like teams are looking at Christian Gonzalez and thinking, shit, we can't throw that way because Gonzalez is just far too good. He's locked him down. You don't want to throw on that side of the field. Okay, well, Carlton Davis is not too bad, but we still fancy the matchup there. So then ultimately they're just targeting him over and over again. And if he gets thrown at 10, 15 times a game, the chances are you're going to give up yards and you're going to give up catches. So I do think it's overblown. I don't think he's been amazing by any stretch. And I certainly think I can understand what people are saying with the contract. You'd expect a little bit better. But I also don't think he's been as bad as people think he is. So people do forget that he has made some big plays at times this year in terms of his pass breakups and stuff. I just think Carlton Davis is a very handsy player. And sometimes handsy corners get flagged for pass interference quite a lot. And they can get over aggressive in trying to make plays on the ball and end up giving up plays. And I just think that's the style of corner he plays, where he's a very hands-on physical corner. And sometimes that can come back to bite you. Whereas Gonzo is very much finesse and positioning, timing, burst. You know, like Gonzo's kind of like an assassin, whereas Carlton Davis is like more of a bruiser. But I just think that's the natural nature of the position he plays and the style he plays. So I don't think it's as big of a concern as people think he is.
Did you feel like that the offense was a little bit lackluster in this game?
Yes.
It felt like a little bit like, I'm not going to say there's any complacency, but there was no hurry up. There was no ruthlessness. There was no edge. There was no energy from the offense in that first half. It just felt, when we were 10-0 down, it was like, what was going on here? It just felt, I don't know, the offensive performance just in general just felt flat. The offensive line protected Drake Maye well enough, but Drake just wasn't on his game today. He still, what did he do? 222 of 35, 294 yards, 1 touchdown. He threw a pick 6. That was bad. That was horrendous right here. I'm not gonna. That's a bad one on your behalf, mate. At a passer rate of 87.1, QBR 62.9. Okay, so it's not his best outing. He almost had a 300-yard gain. He missed out by 6 yards. So I don't know when we're going to see that. Yeah, Drake just felt off in that game. The whole offense felt off in that game. The only person who didn't feel off in that game was Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
My tight end.
I think there were a lot of miscues. Drake was definitely off in terms of his accuracy, his timing. There was some sluggishness. There was, uninspired. Yeah, didn't think the play calling was overly great to start the game. You know, I was a big advocate for let's get the ball first and put points on the board and try and make them catch up, because we know with their defense they're probably not going to have a chance to catch up. We get the ball first and we don't do anything with it until like the second quarter, and it was a real like underwhelming start. You know, we were all over the place, you know, with miscues and mistiming and missed throws, and the pick six was bad. I genuinely don't know what Drake's trying to do with that throw. Like Hunter Henry's kind of over the middle and he just throws it behind him and over his head, and like that was really, really off. That's not the kind of throw you'd expect Drake to make after the season he's been having. So yeah, it was a bit off. Like, I don't think Booty was like back to sharpness, because he only ended up having like 15 yards in the game. I know he could have had a deep catch at one point, but got done by pass interference. I just think that the whole rhythm was off with it. But thankfully, Hunter Henry had a big game, and I called the touchdown on the show last week and said that he would score. He could have had two, but one got chalked off.
Chalked off because of a Matt Collins pick.
Yeah,
of a pick rub, which really annoyed me. I was like, oh, for God's sake, really? Because he weren't getting touched. He wasn't getting touched.
It kind of rallied a little bit in the second half. We started to get going. Drake found his rhythm, was making some nice throws. We just weren't finishing off. You know, that's disappointing. You know, someone messaged in and said, you know, just got to finish in the red zone, and 100%. You know, that was a big concern, that we got into the red zone several times and left too many points on the field. We should have scored 40 points in this game easily. You know, the opportunities were there for us to score 40 points and really, you know, take control of the game and go out of sight. But yeah, it wasn't great. We're going to need to play better on offense against better teams, because realistically, with our Bengals D, we should have absolutely shredded them, but we didn't.
We should have destroyed them. Yeah. Pat's fan B6 said they need the bye to get healthy, come back, win the AFC, baby. They need to. They really, really need to. I think it was Mike Reese said that he reckons that now, but the bye week is a bit of a disadvantage to us because it's so late in the season. I completely disagree. I think the bye week couldn't come any more right. I actually wish the bye week was now.
Yeah, so do I.
I wish the bye week was. I wish the bye week. Actually, no. I wish the bye week was after the Jets game.
Yeah,
because that would have been perfect for us, but not a lot we can really do about it, Doctor. He wasn't back, but Butte was destroying the defensive back. Butte only had 2 catches for 15 yards, so he wasn't completely. What's the word I'm looking for? You know, he wasn't as active as he should be, but it's his first game back, so I'd give Booty a pass.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of good moments from him this season. I think he can have a game to get back up to speed again after missing 2 games. You know, it won't take long for him to get back up to full speed, and he'll be in the end zone again a couple of times. You know, in the next couple of games, I'm sure, because
probably.
Yeah, we all know how good he is.
Yeah, we all know how good he is. But no, it was as I said, it was just an off performance. It was a new career high for Dre Maye, 294 yards. Okay, but it just didn't feel. It just didn't feel good. It just didn't feel good. T Higgins. It was a good battle between Gonzo and Higgins as well. But T Higgins went down with a head injury. I mean, what did
Carlton
Higgins
Davis put him in the concussion protocol by landing on him?
That weren't his fault. He's going for the ball. Come on.
Yeah,
man.
he was.
T Higgins had 5 receptions for 31 yards. The best one was Andre Oshibash, 4 receptions for 61 yards. So it was literally their third string receiver that was actually coming up and making the So yeah, all good. All good. in
I
that.
think like overall, like we navigated a really tricky game in terms of us not playing well on offense, facing the adversity with some serious injuries throughout the game. But we won. We saw it out. Defense come up massive on the final drive. You feel like if Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were on the field, that you'd have been worried that they were going to go on and nick it at the end.
I'll say this right now: if Jamar Chase was on the field and we had Joe Burrow at quarterback, I think we'd have lost that game.
Yeah, but we navigated it. We come through a tricky period. It's a type of game we probably would have lost in previous seasons. They grinded it out. They found a way to win despite the adversity, despite the fact that we didn't play to our full capabilities, and that's the sign of a good team. You hear that phrase all the time about find good teams find ways to win all the time, and we've done that again. We found a way to win. Defense came up big on the final drive, got the stops, got the pass breakups, helped win the game, and we got out of there with the win. 9 wins in a row, top of the AFC. Yes, obviously we've got trickier games to come and players that are going to be missing. But
I've just seen something come on the Patriots website. The Patriots have announced there's been some roster moves. Announced that tackle Fire Mumford Jr. has been assigned to 53-man roster from the Cleveland Browns practice squad. Quarterback Alex Austin has been placed on injured reserve. Guard Bill Murray has been signed to the practice squad, and running back Jonathan Ward has been released from the practice squad. So
Taya Munford was with us earlier in the season, obviously a former Raiders starting tackle, and then got signed to the Browns off our practice squad, and has now come back. So at least it's another depth piece with some experience. I don't think he's an amazing player by all accounts, but I think that's a smart move to try and bring someone back that's got experience. The one with Bill Murray, though, is really surprising because I feel like he's been on our practice squad about 65 times, because keeps leaving, coming back, release, coming back. So yeah, obviously that's happened. Alex Austin on injury reserve is interesting because that makes us a bit thinner at corner. But I'm not sure what's happened to him either. Jonathan Ward released in the practice squad. But yeah, I'm in favour of the Taya Munford move because obviously he's been in our system already this season, has some starting experience. So we could be doing a lot worse than having a player like that. Probably just as a backup for now. Obviously he's on the active roster this time. So I'd imagine, because I think he's primarily a right tackle, maybe he becomes the right tackle cover. So maybe that plays into Marcus Bryant maybe playing left tackle.
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. But there is a little bit of the bright news to have, okay? And obviously Marcus Jones, he got a pick 6 as well. Marcus Jones had a very, very good game again, as he always does. I mean, we paid him handsomely, and he's just coming up trumps all the time. 5 total tackles, 3 solos, 2 pass breakups, and he obviously had the pick 6 as well. Now, the minute I saw Joe Flacco release the hitch and then release that ball, I'm like, Marcus Jones is eye hawking now. He just went, thank you.
Yeah, we know that Marcus Jones has the ability to jump plays like that all the time. Had such a good season. We know what he can do as a playmaker. Yes, okay, he's going to give up yards because of his size and give up catches, but he's massively competitive. He always looking to be in and around the ball, and you kind of feel like when that's presented to him, he's going to house it, and that kind of swung things a little bit because obviously we'd gone down by 10 points, and you're thinking, oh, we're in a bit of a hole here, but then we fought back with a pick 6 of our own. And that swung things back towards us again. So that was a huge play from Marcus Jones, really. If that doesn't happen, you start to fear whether Cincinnati could go even further up, and we're in a bit of a hole. But that was a crucial moment from Marcus Jones.
Yeah, it definitely was. Definitely was. Just checking something out. Okay, not issue. One last thing we'll mention as well Andy Borregales called into action 4 times on 4 field goals. He's kicked a 52, a 45, a 41, and obviously a 19-yarder when we could have fucking got it over the 1-yard line. And he also kicked his PAT as well. He scored 30. He scored 14 points for us off the boot of a kicker. When your kicker has scored you more points than your offense has, that's a level of embarrassment you don't really want.
Yeah. No, it was. He's really bounced back from earlier in the season, isn't he? You know, those kind of rookie jitters at the start of the year, people were, quickly jumping on his back. But he's settled. He's got his confidence. He's got his rhythm. Yes, he had a miss a couple of weeks ago, but that was only his second field goal miss all year. Looking like a real hit of a draft pick. There's a reason why we wanted to draft him rather than sign a free agent kicker or a rookie free agent kicker. We used the draft pick on him. He's justifying that right now. Yes, there's worse weather to come in Foxborough in the winter.
Yep.
But certainly so far, he's not giving you any cause for concern at the position. So, it looks like we found ourselves a pretty decent young kicker.
We have. And also as well, Kyle Williams, we also saw a little glimpse of as well. Not your usual prototypical deep threat taking the top off the defense. He was more running an intermediate route. And when he actually caught that ball, and I thought he had the edge on the defender. I thought if he gets him, that's it. He's through. That's a house call. That's a house run. I think we need to see a little bit more of that from Carl Williams. I know his taking the top off the defense is basically what he is basically there for, but he could also be used in a different variety of ways. And I think if you could throw some intermediate routes at him, he's got the pace to break away. We know he's got the speed too.
Yeah, I think his wiggle in the open field is really, really good. You see him with the ball in his hands. The way he moves is very fluid, very elusive. So, yeah, that he can take plays like that to the house if he gets the right downfield blocking, if he sees the hole. Obviously, we saw the long touchdown against the Bucks. He's just going to need to get more comfortable in the system and earn the trust of Maye a little bit more. And they've also got to scheme up plays. We spoke earlier in the season about trying to scheme up specific plays for Kyle Williams. If they can do that, then he'll start to show. But at the moment, he's just a bit far down the depth chart that you're not really going to see him that much in the game. But at least he's playing. There were times last year where Polk and Baker weren't even on the field, and we were calling saying, well, they're young guys, you give them a chance, and they weren't really being on the field. But there's obviously a reason for that. It's because they're both bad. Yeah, Williams has shown enough flashes. You'd like to see him get more of the ball, but the potential's definitely there.
Potential's definitely there. Look, we're 10-2. We move on to the Giants on next Monday night. One more game. 60 more minutes of football, and then we can finally have a rest. Finally have a bye that we so desperately needed. Before we move on to the next topic, there's a question here that Pat's Fan B6 I left behind. I actually started it, okay? And we've probably had this thrown at us many, many times before, but I don't think no fans asked us, but we'll do this anyway. Got to ask how I feel about Tom leaving. It was like 6 years ago now. It's numb to me now, if I'm going to be very honest with you. At the time, it was like, do you know what? He's done all he can for this team. This team was on its ass, basically. We made the postseason by the skin of our teeth. We were high. We were not impressed at all. And we got beaten by Tennessee pretty comfortably, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I'm more frustrated with how the exit was handled from the team's perspective than him actually leaving. The fact that Belichick essentially gave up on him and wouldn't give him the contract he wanted, wouldn't surround him with the players he would have wanted, and basically put Brady in a position where he felt like he could go no further with the team and had to try something new. That scenario should never have come around. And I just wish that ownership had done a little bit more, because Robert Kraft never would have wanted him to go. Brady at that point should have been given absolutely anything he wanted. Whatever money he wants, whatever bonuses, whatever players he wants to bring in. If he wants to, I don't know, he wants one of the planes, whatever. Like, if he wants it, give it to him. He won 6 Super Bowls with this team. He's the franchise's greatest ever player. There's a statue of the guy outside the stadium now. He should have been given absolutely everything he wanted. Because he would have stayed. He played 3 more seasons after that with Tampa Bay. We'd have had him for 3 more seasons. I guarantee we wouldn't have been as bad as we were over those 3 seasons. Okay, yes, we had the 1 year with Mac Jones where we weren't too bad, but we probably would have been a lot more competitive than we were going into 2020, 2021, and 2022, because 2 of those were losing seasons. I don't think we'd have had a losing season. So it feels like a real missed opportunity. Obviously, he went to Tampa Bay. Sucks that he won a Super Bowl in terms of, for us, that, Belichick thought he was expendable and he went and won a Super Bowl without him.
And then Belichick did nothing. Well, went 10-7 with Mac Jones, and it all went to shit.
Yeah, so I feel like that was the more disappointing thing. Obviously, he went and showed how great he is to go and win another Super Bowl with another team. I like to call it his Florida holiday, because I had a little holiday to Florida. I know he's come back for the statue presentation and he's given all this and that and the other about how much he'll always be a Patriot and he loves the team and whatnot. I just kind of wish that it would have been a similar thing to Gronk in terms of he'd come back to retire here one day. I know the 1 day contract doesn't excite everyone and some people don't agree with it, but he should have retired a Patriot, and there should have been a better send-off for him than what happened, I think. That's the one regret. Gronk had a pretty good thing. I'm surprised he didn't retire the 87 for Gronk, by the way. That definitely should have happened. I know he's going in the Hall of Fame next year. They basically said he's going to go.
They might do it then. They might do it then. They might say they might retire the jersey then.
I just kind of think the way the Brady exit was handled and kind of the fact he didn't get a proper send-off that doesn't sit well with me, but I think we can probably put that on Bill.
Gronk only wants to come to New England when he wants to sell something. Typical.
No, I can't bash Gronk for anything. I love the guy. He's fantastic.
He's brilliant. He's fantastic. Yeah. There was a little bit of breaking news that came out. I think it was yesterday. And it was basically to do with the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of semi-finalists. We are delighted to tell you that Rodney Harrison, Adam Vinatieri, and Vince Wilfork, or I was like to say Nick's dad, were announced as semi-finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026 earlier on today. Narrowing the field down to 26 in the modern era players category. Vinatieri, widely regarded as the greatest kicker in NFL history, is one of 4 players who automatically advanced to this stage after finishing top 7 for election last year. He retires the league's all-time leader in points scored and field goals made, and his clutch kicks in Super Bowls 36 and 38 remain among the most iconic moments in NFL history. Well, we also know about Rodney Harrison as well, don't we? 2-time Super Bowl champion, known for his toughness and leadership. Finished his career 30 interceptions, 30 sacks, making him and Ray Lewis a 2018 Pro Football Hall of Fame inductee, the only 2 players in NFL history to reach both marks. So really, Rodney Harrison should really get his gold jacket. Really, if we're looking at the same part as Ray Lewis, then come on, he's got to be in there. And
I think, I mean, look, those are iconic Patriots. Vinatieri, like you said, arguably the greatest kicker in NFL history. The thing that does him a disservice is that he's a kicker.
He's a kicker. No one gives a
and yes, he might be the greatest kicker of all time. Had the longevity, obviously, then going on to play with the Colts and being pretty good for them over a pretty good period of time. But the fact he's a kicker, I think, is always going to get overlooked. Same with Vince Wilfork. Vince Wilfork was an outstanding defensive lineman. But once again, defensive tackle is not the sexiest position, and he's not the kind of D lineman that used to get 15 sacks a season. He's not an Aaron Donald type. And as much as we love him, and he was a pivotal part of our first part of the dynasty and arguably the best player at his position during that period, I'm not sure And the same with Rodney Harrison. Like, I just don't know. When I look at the kind of the nominees for this year, how many get in, Carl, out of the class? Do you know?
I think it's like 6 or isn't it like 4, 5?
Like, I think Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald are absolute, like,
Locks.
stone cold
They're
locks. Like 100%. Jason Witten would probably be high up that list as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whether, because you can always sit here and say they should be in the Hall of Fame, but when you look at who they're up against in the class, you think, well, they should be Hall of Famers, but the likelihood is these other guys are going to get in as well. So it's the same. Like we had a conversation. We believe that Edelman should be a Hall of Famer based on his, he's obviously the Patriots Hall of Fame, but based on his
bloody hell, I think this podcast has been going for 20 more years. I don't think Edelman will still be in the Hall of Fame.
Like 3-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, has like a ridiculous, like the postseason stats is like some of them he's leading and some of them he's just behind Jerry Rice. He's one of the best postseason receivers in NFL history with a Super Bowl MVP and 3 Lombardis. Like that should be enough to get you in. But the trouble is that the people he'll be in that class with are, well, look at this class. He's up against, he didn't make the semi-finals or whatever, the vote, but he's up against Larry Fitzgerald. He's up against like ridiculous names. They're always going to get in over him. So sometimes it's just like who you're with. Like Gronk's a strange one because he kind of retired 3 years ago. So you'd think he should be eligible in 2 years, but because he's just retired a Patriot last week, he's now not eligible for 5 years. So
that's smart thinking. That's smart thinking from Gronk, though. That's smart thinking from Gronk.
Yeah.
Basically, so the further down the road, it's like, oh, I might be able to get into this category, maybe.
But then, like, who else is he going to be there with? Like, that's the thing. You just don't know who you're going to be there with.
I don't understand why postseason doesn't count for Patriots players. They should do. They really should do, but Super Bowls is more of a collective effort, really, than just an individual performance. Individual performance player. We're talking of individual performance players. That's the first ballot Hall of Famer, Myles Garrett, and I'll leave it with that one. That's the first, because that, I think, to get into the Hall of Fame is more of an individual honor than it is what you've done in the postseason, unless you're a quarterback or unless you're a running back or unless you're a top-notch wide receiver. So. Yeah, but that's what we've got coming up. And so good luck to Rodney, good luck to Adam, and good luck to Vince. Hopefully one of them will get up, hopefully, if not all of them get in the Hall of Fame. But, it's all a bit pushy right now with what everybody wants. So, right. I think we will call that one a night. We're 10-2. We now take a 3-game lead over Buffalo, even though we've played 1 game more due to not having the bye week just yet. The Bills. Oh dear. You lost to the Texans. Let me just...
like Texans.
They feel like Texans. They did. Let me just sing a song from one of my favorite country bands. Obviously, Luke Combs has a song called... Ice Cold Beer Never Broke My Heart. So this one is for Davis Mills. Long neck, ice cold Mills breaks Bill's hearts.
One thing I will say, though, I know we just turn around and say, oh, they lost to Davis Mills. Obviously, he's not the starter, right? But he ain't as bad as people think he is. He's actually not that bad.
He's serviceable.
He's serviceable. He would probably be a top 5 backup quarterback in the NFL, like easy. If you have to plug him in for a couple of games, he's not a total disaster. He's definitely.
Since he's come in, though, he's actually performed better than CJ Stroud. So it begs the question.
Stroud has been playing overly well this year, but that Texans defense is awesome.
Yeah, I don't want to face him in the postseason. I don't.
Yeah. That's if they make it, but they could do.
Well, they've got tiebreakers. Well, they've got to play the Chiefs in a couple of weeks, haven't they? Or 2 or 3 weeks' time.
Yeah.
If Texans beat the Chiefs, that's the tiebreaker. And I think that could be where the Chiefs say, bye-bye, see you later. But, yeah. Before we get on out of here as well, Thanksgiving is this coming Thursday. So to all of our fellow Americans, Patriots across the pond, happy Thanksgiving for Thursday. Enjoy your Black Friday. Please don't kill anybody on Black Friday when you're getting deals done, please. I've seen too many. I've seen too many TikTok videos of people running into Target and literally beating the shit out of someone just to get like a 70-inch flat screen TV or something. I don't know.
Interestingly, I have actually been in the States for Thanksgiving and on Black Friday. That was actually in Boston. And we landed on Thanksgiving night, went to our hotel, dropped our bags off, and me and my mate were like, I want to get something to eat because it's like 8 p.m. local time. So we asked the reception, is there anything open? She goes, oh, yeah, down the road, there's a Burger King. I was like, oh, that'll do. Wandered like probably a good mile down the road in East Boston, South Boston. And it was closed. So one thing I didn't realize about Thanksgiving is that literally everything is closed.
Shut. Everything's
like,
closed.
Aside from like your hospital, like your public services and hotels and stuff like that, everything shuts. Now, we have holidays here in the UK where, you know, most things are shut, but there's always like a few things scattered about that are open. But no, literally, there was no one about. Like, we didn't even see anyone. There was no cars passing us. It was like everyone was at home. It was like being back in lockdown again. So we ended up, our hotel didn't serve food of an evening. So we ended up going to the hotel over the road to order food to then bring back to our hotel because it was shut. And then the next day was Black Friday, and we had the joy of walking around Boston city centre around the shops there on Black Friday, which was not as busy as I thought, but still pretty chaotic. But yeah, I've experienced it in America. They do take it pretty seriously.
They do take it quite seriously. They definitely do. But I'm not really used to Thanksgiving. Okay, all I know is I get in from work. Lions games on at 5:30. Well, it's actually 6:00 now. They've pushed it a little bit back because now this game is actually worth watching. It's Packers Lions. But yeah, I mean, you watch those games and so on. But it would be interesting to go over there and do something like that. I know it's a pie in the sky idea of mine, but it would be. We've always said that, you know, we've already done London with a Patriots game. We've already done Germany with a Patriots game. What's next? We've got to go over to the States to go to Foxborough. Well, they're playing well now, so tickets are going to cost a second mortgage. But
100%. It would be fantastic. I think, it's definitely something that we would love to do. Even to do a podcast, you know, recording out in Massachusetts, it'd be pretty cool. I'm fortunate enough to have been before. I know obviously there are some people, obviously yourself, Carl, and the other people listening that perhaps have never been before. Like I was fortunate enough to do it in 2017. I've not been back since, but I definitely want to go again. So the Thanksgiving though, can they just change the games up every year? I mean, I don't mind the slate of games this year. They're pretty good, but I do get a bit bored of watching the same teams on Thanksgiving every year. Like, it'd be good if they kind of rotated it a little bit.
It's always a tradition, though. The two teams are always a tradition. It's the Cowboys. It's the Lions of the Cowboys. It's always been the tradition for Thanksgiving. So that ain't going to change anytime soon. But it's always an NFC North battle between, you know, the Lions or the Bears, or the Lions and the Packers usually. And then you got the Cowboys. I mean, whoever they face. Obviously, this time they got the Chiefs. Usually, they've got like the Washington Commanders or the New York Giants or the Philadelphia Eagles.
This year is better. Like the three games this year, especially now with Joe Burrow returning this weekend for the Bengals. Like all three games have the potential to be pretty good. But in previous years, you've had some real stinkers on Thanksgiving. You think, oh god.
That's why when you eat on Thanksgiving, you eat a lot, so you fall asleep at the Cowboys game. You have to watch that shit. Anyway, but no, from all of us here, the Patriots touchback. Everyone have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. And we will be back on Saturday night for the preview of the New York Giants game. Hopefully, we will have a guest on that will be keep us on your social media posts on Instagram and on X as well, because then we'll be doing our little posts as we usually do. So keep an eye on that. Make sure your notification bells are turned on when we also go live for that show on Saturday night. It'll be really worth watching. We'll also have our results on our Blazing 6. By the way, just as a spoiler note, this guy won again by 1 point, but it's still a win. I'll take that all day long. And Saturday night we will be back. So, Kieran, as always, mate, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. Thank you everyone that's been listening. Make sure you smash the like button on your way out. Gronk spike the subscribe button. Tell your friends. Follow us on our social media platforms. Follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple. And we are going to be back on Saturday night for the preview against the G-Men. And it will be a good one. So from everyone here, I know it's a bit of a deflated show. We apologize for that, but we'll end this on the usual thing that we usually do. Kieran, how do we feel about beating the Bengals?
Are we doing this again?
We've got to.
Oh, no. I just feel like this has died now.
All right, fair enough. We'll do it. We'll do it.
Slate's not here anymore. It's changed. New era.
See you on Saturday, guys. Go Patriots.